Good morning YouTube, welcome to Nick Farfist. Today I want to show you the metagame that will be at YCS Madrid and yeah, in these days. Okay, let's start. Obviously I will show you also some cards that you can side against these decks. That will be the meta. Okay, let's start. I first start with Settler Knight. Settler Knight is a good deck that is based on adding cards. So just every card of the deck make a +1. Yeah, so it's good. This deck is based on Settler Knight Deneb that lets you add one Settler Knight monster from your deck to your hand, of course, and one Settler Knight Halter that lets you special summon one satellite monster from your graveyard. So basically you can normal summon it, special summon Denim, and add another Altair from your deck. So it's a great combo. You can easily stop this combo with uh, Light Imprisoning Mirror because this deck is just light, so with Imprisoning you can stop it. Then imprisoning can stop exit on night or something. Okay, then another good card is a Stygian Tearje. This card reduces the levels of all monsters your opponent control by 1. So basically your opponent summon other monsters, but all his monsters are level 3. Usually your opponent doesn't play Exceed of rank 3 in his extra deck, so this card is good. Then another good card is Flying Sea, that is a good end trap against some other decks, like Infernity, Madulke or something. Okay, then you can play Veiler, that is good if your opponent starts with Deneb, or just Maxi to stop combos. Okay, that's all. Then we have shadows. Shadows are good because, yeah, shadows have one card that is powerful. This is the one card, Shadow Fusion. Basically, this card, when your opponent controls a face-up Exceed monster, I think, no Exceed, just one monster that is special summoned from his extra deck, you can activate this card and fusion your monsters by your deck. So it's basically a +2 because every monster of this deck, when it's sent to the graveyard, um, it's activated one effect that make you have some other cards. So it's basically a +2 if your opponent controls extra deck monsters. Okay, and this is based on the fusion monsters, and this card that is so good. When it is flipped, you can special summon one monster shuttle from your graveyard in face down defense position. Every shuttle has a flip effect, so this card is so good. And when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon itself face down, so you can trigger its effect when it's flipped, and it's good. Every shuttle monster is dark. Yeah, so this card is so good. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. And when you have this card, you have basically game. Yeah, just Shadow Window, El Shadow Window. You can't stop that card because uh, his effect isn't activated. So you can only special summon once per turn. You have to read all his effects of all monsters of this deck because they are all powerful. And another good card is Nobleman of Cross Scout because every monster in this deck has a flip effect. So you can basically just activate this card, banish, and banish all copies of all monsters from his deck, so it's so good. If you start a nobleman and your opponent starts with one monster set, you have basically a game because you banish every monster of that name. Okay, so it's good. I usually say 2 or 3. 3 if my opponent starts. So my opponent starts with his monsters and I just activate nobleman for game. Another card is the bank. You can side all two, the bank and imprisoning, because the bank, yeah, it's good. Some version of the deck plays um, dragons that when they are sent to grave, you can add the other one to your hand. So the bank is good. With the imprisoning, you can't stop it. So the bank is good. You can just, of course, side soldering, macrocosm, and dimensional fissure because deck is based on graveyard. And yeah, all is good. These two cards, Macrocosmos and Fissure, are usually game, but yeah, maybe there are some ways to stop the card. Okay, another deck is Burning Abyss. This deck is based in Tour Guide from the Underworld. So basically every turn that deck has Tour Guide. Then he goes for Dante, is exceed rank 3, that is so good. And they are all find the monster. Uh, okay, so yeah, they are all find monsters, and you can basically side Maxi because they go just for tour guide, so Maxi is good. Valor, just a tour guide, and Fissure, Macrocosmos, and Soldering because all effects are based on graveyard. Also the bank and yeah, some other cards. Then another deck is a deck that was underdog, and it's so good for this card. And yeah, Bacteriaman. Uh, this deck is based on this card, Bacteriaman 9 Bolt. And when it is summoned, you can add one Batteryman monster from your deck to your hand, then this monster's attack double, become the double of its original attack, so 2000. And in the hand phase, it's destroyed. But no matter, because this deck usually OTK you, so yeah, it's good. And this is the another good card of the deck. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one Waterman monster from your deck. Yeah, and this card gains 300 for each Thunder type monster you control, so every Waterman you control. And this deck usually play Trapstand, Decree, a lot of cards that yeah protect these monsters. Just Forbidden Lens, MST of course. Okay, and then you have to play End Traps. Baylor, Maxi, and Swiss Scarecrow if you want this one. Against OTK, so it's good. And you have to play also cards like Fisher, Soul Drain, no Soul Drain, sorry, just Fisher, Macro, because this deck Um, sometimes your opponent starts with Batteryman and phase it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Then in your hand phase, it activates Call of the Hunted to come back him and go for combo next turn. So these two cards are good. Then you have to play Effect Leader Mast to stop this guy or this one. Yeah. Then Maxi, so your opponent is stupid. Uh, Maxi is good if you play Scarecrow to stop OTK if your opponent go home. Okay, these are all meta decks, in my opinion. Then I have another, okay, the category non-meta but playable. So you will face for sure these decks. Okay, one of these is Spellbook. Yeah, we saw Spellbook a lot of times in these years, and it's based on cards that let you add. So you can play, of course, Effect Veiler against this guy that let you add one spellbook when it's summoned. Then Surgery, so your opponent can't activate cards like the Spellbook of Fate, this one, because you have to control a spellcaster type monster, or just this one, Wisdom, uh, just for the spellcaster, and in MST or something to stop the fight. Okay, then another good card is Mistake, so your opponent can't add cards from their deck to his hand. This card is so good. Then another deck is Trigger Lure, every type of this deck version. And you have to play Imperial Iron that can be also sided against Spellbook, and Maxi to stop your opponent combo, Fissure, and Macro, Soul Drain, and Debanks. Okay, then there is Fire Fist, mixed with some other decks like Ants, Trap Tricks, or something else. Um, Maybe just a Fire Fist and Artifact Trap Tricks. And this deck is stopped by Catastrophe. Where is Catastrophe? Okay, this one. Decoy and yeah, nothing else. Maybe just Effect Veiler. Yeah, good. Then add and Artifact Trap Tricks that can be solved also by Catastrophe, Decoy, and Debunk against ends or artifact if they are destroyed. Then okay, I was saying then we have Wyvern, that is another good deck. Basically, it is based on lucky. If your opponent is lucky, you can't win. It's a good, yeah, good step. Okay, um, you usually have to stop it before it's set up. So you can't make your opponent have a good grave. So you have to stop him at the start of the duel, basically with Macrocosmos, Fissure, Soldering if your opponent plays the version mixed with Dragon Rulers, Eclipse Wyvern, and something else. So it's a turbo version. So Soldering, the bank, and Veiler if you want a maxi, they are good, but not that good. I prefer to side the soul release because if you draw it in the late game, you can just activate it, banishing the name for Judgment Dragon and the Dragon Lurers. So it's a good card. Okay, another deck is Sylvan. Sylvan is so good. I played it for a while and they have good stars. Okay, basically a good start is Limefire Blossom and Soul Charge. These are really combo cards. This is a combo deck, and you have to stop it with Maxi, Veiler, and cards, floatgate cards like Dimensional Fissure, Microcosmos, and Soul Drain. Yeah, it's good. Then the bank. Yeah, okay. Against effects when they are sent to the grave, and Maxi and Veiler against Soul Charge, Longfire Blossom, and some other cards. Okay. Then we have Geargia. Geargia is a good deck, but it has bad matchups against a lot of decks. So it isn't that played. You can face really few of Geargia. And good side against Geargia is Nobleman of Crosscut against Geargia Armor, that is the best card of the deck. When you use Nobleman first turn against Geargia, yeah, he's dead. He can't come back sometimes. Yeah, it's really hardly ever your opponent can do a comeback when you start with Nobleman against Geargia Armor. Then you can side Exit Universe and Flying Sea against Xyz, because when you open a combo, it has usually 2 or 3 Xyz on the field, so Exit Universe is so good, and Flying Sea is so good to stop your opponent from combo. Then one of the best deck is Infernity. Infernity also won the Worlds this year with thanks to Seabi. And this deck is so good when they start with combo first turn, so they have 4 set, 4 monster on the field, one card that does soul them, and so good. And to stop it, you have to play some end traps, all 3 end traps, Maxi, Baylor, and Flying Sea, to stop him to do everything. Then you have to play Catastrophe and Decree against traps, and cards like Fisher, Microcosmos, um, and Universe. Yeah, Fisher Microcosmos against Stygian Pedro. You don't have, your opponent doesn't have to send him to the grave, or he can combo really easily. Then, but if you run these 2 cards, you have to side into minus and traps. So just 5 end traps and these 2 cards, or 4 end traps and these 2 cards. Don't do like something like 8-10 traps and these 2 cards, or you will lose to yourself. Then another good card is Exit Universe. When your opponent does a combo with 2 or 3 Xyz on the field, you do this card for game. Another good deck is Madulke. Madulke is based on plus cards, like Satella Knights, and this deck just starts the combo with 1 card, Angeli, that make him plus 3 or 2, yeah, 2 plus 2, and it's good. You have to stop it with end traps, like Maxi and Baylor, and Flying Sea if your opponent tries to combo. Then a good card is Exit Universe when your opponent already combo you. Rivalry because they are all all different types, and Rivalry is good. Then you can play Fisher because the deck is based on monster sent to the grave, and Fisher is a good card, also with Microcosmos. And yeah, you can side the Catastrophe or Decree. Yeah, no other cards. Maybe Imperial Iron Wall to stop Hot Cake. Okay, that's all. Then the last deck is Mermails, the best deck of the last format. Mermail is again a spot in the meta. Maybe it's not the real meta game, but it's something like tier 1.5 or something. So it's so good. And I think you already know cards that stops him. That are usually Maxi when your opponent tries to combo. Then we have Fissure and Macrocosmos and Soul Drain that are the Floodgates cards. These cards are so good if you start with them. Then we have Debunk against all monsters that tries to activate effects like Abystius, Abyss Megalo, all Atlanteans, Abyss Gunda, Abyss Linde. Yeah, a lot of cards. Then Reverie, because they are all different types. And if you want uh, cards like Surrealise or Surrealise, if you want, yeah, I'd say no, but if you want, you can play it. Okay, if you want Mistake, yeah, but it's not that good. I think that's all for today. I have no other deck to show you. Maybe all tier 3 or 4, like Evisorm Coastalars, or something else. I don't want to show you all decks, but these are the most important. You have to know how to side against them and yeah, how to play. That's all for today. Bye guys, like, subscribe and enjoy this video.